Live, man. What's going on, Coop, man? How you doing, sir?
I'm great.
Life is good. Life is good. Shout out to
Yeah.
everybody out there in the YouTube world. Anybody listening to us on Facebook, later on, make sure you go subscribe to the According to Hip Hop YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you can be notified whenever, we're bringing new content and enjoy the conversation and be in the conversation with us. So, today, man, I know his birthday was a couple of days ago. The great Nipsey Hussle would have turned 34 years old. So, we figured, man, we were talking offline. We got to do an episode to, show some appreciation to Nipsey and his legacy. We can't leave that out because I know it's a lot of music that continuously comes out, and, certain things and iconic moments and icons and their legacy kind of get overlooked at those benchmarks because we just keep going so fast. But we wanted to take some time to dial back and talk about the legacy of the great Nipsey Hussle, man. What say
No,
you, Coop?
absolutely. I think he's gonna be remembered as much for like his business acumen as he is for his music,
I was gonna
which is
go
a
there too.
which is a rare thing for a rapper because it's like when I thought about him today and I thought about what I was gonna say about him musically, I couldn't help but think about how he inspired his community business wise, though. I mean, it just goes kind of hand in hand with it. And so I think that is the remembrance of, or maybe a proper remembrance of, and we're not really the ones to really say or give that assertion. That's more up to his family, close friends, associates, and estate. But I think it's the way that he handled his business so well in a music business, quite frankly, where people get screwed over religiously, especially when they're young. He
Well, I
came,
mean, we were
he came
just
with a lot of
talking.
gang.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, man, but we were just talking about the fact that Victory Lap was technically his only major label album. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
it's
And
crazy.
so it's like
It's crazy.
that lets you know that he was holding out the whole time. You know what I
No,
mean?
I
Like,
mean that's what I mean. He was playing his cards. Like he was like, no, I'm going like, I'm cool with doing it my way. And he was showing dudes that like doing it your way can work for you if you like double down, or I guess he would say on victory lap, double up on your hustle. You
but yeah,
know,
I mean, but that's a business mind. Like most artists, and if we're talking about rap, period, they're going out there to get that deal. He was out there to make music and flip that music, do business, and if the deal came that made sense, he made that move. Cause what
right?
Bullets Have No Name was that series started in '08 and
Hmm.
Victory Lap was 2018. So he held out on the majors for a good 10 plus years because Slauson Boy was like '05 also. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
also too, when you actually think about that too, so let's say he held out for 10 years, but then look at the product that he actually delivered when he did go major. I mean,
exactly.
Mike, a victory lap is to many a classic, and I'm not going to argue with those that feel the way about it. I think that it's a stunning album. I think it's a great piece of work. If I was ranking the 10 best albums of the last 5 years, it would definitely make the list. It would probably be somewhere. I mean, if I was just calling it offhand, what comes to mind is, of course, Pray for Paris, Daytona, Astro World, King's Disease 2, From a King to a God. After that, Victory Lap, maybe? Am
You
I
know
missing
what? It's
one?
definitely in the question. Shout out to everybody coming in the room as well. Barka says, "Thank you guys for the great content. I first heard you guys reviewing the GD2, probably meant KD2, and I'm gonna keep tuning in. One love, appreciate that. Make sure you tell a friend and subscribe and tell them to subscribe so they can join in these conversations. I think that Victory Lap definitely could be considered a top five hip hop album in the past. What would we say? 5 years?
Yeah, say if you were to
Okay,
go from like 20s, like I pretty much like for me, and we can just look back on it like in a revisionist kind of way now. I
right.
look at the game differently since Kendrick released Damn. So that was 2016 for me. So I would say from the time Kendrick released Damn, which I feel like was summertime-ish, of
Right.
2021. Of 2016 to like now. Like I would put Victory Lap probably like 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah, because what Damn was 2017,
I
but
was 16.
it was 17. But still, yeah, it's a whole different era. You're right, and it's hard to really.
Feel
So I guess
different.
we could say in the past 4 years, right? Because it feels like
Feel different.
18 to now is like a whole different era. And Nipsey came in. I think I was just telling you offline. I was looking at this old GGN interview he did with Snoop, and this
Hmm.
was like 8 years ago, and he was talking about Victory Lap then, and he put everything into this effort. He put everything, musically and just with, giving game. And like you said, I think his business acumen is going to be a huge part of his legacy because in every interview, that's what he spoke about. He spoke about building brands, building businesses, grinding it out. He spoke about, that side of JayZ owning his masters. You always saw him with Master P. And you know what I'm saying? He was always giving quotes in that way. So yeah, it's hard to even separate the business mind from the musical mind because the business mind had so much to do with his music and his hunger and what he was in it for. You know what I mean? I really feel like individual artists are in this business to do, certain things. And I think his biggest thing was building a brand and
Right.
building businesses and smart
So,
investments and,
let's speak to that because you brought up a couple of people who I think he should probably be paired with, and I know it's going to kind of seem funny, but that's Master P and JayZ, and that's great businessmen who have been known to give you quality product of work. And that's saying a lot because if you look at those guys, here's the unfortunate thing about what happened with Nip. With Victory Lap being his only major label release and his untimely passing, and it being such a great album, Mike, I mean, we're talking about like branding. Like that album alone was probably going to bring him, the type of deals that broker you into the hundreds of millions of dollars deals. Not saying he was going to get it off that deal, but he was going to start getting some, you know what I
well,
mean? He
yeah,
was
he
going to
was
start.
already getting more deals and traction than he had been getting previously because he had a Puma deal that he was working with at
That's what I'm
that
saying.
point.
So
Yeah,
he was starting to get $1 million deals, is what I'm saying. And those $1 million deals were going to turn into multi-million-dollar deals that turned into $20, $50 million deals that turned into 100. You get what I'm saying? And he was one of those people that you saw how he handled his business and you knew that he was going to do it and it was going to happen. And so that's what's so unfortunate about it too. It's like, no. We know what Nip was going to do with like the hustle and with the money because he had already proven and shown.
and you know what? He was in a market where you could really, really do those things and live real fat off of them. Like Cali and Texas, artists
Mm-hmm.
could sit there and just sell to their market and be living great. Let's look at E40. You know what I'm saying? Like E40 never had to really rely on majors to put his stuff out. E40 got like 30 something albums. Same with Too Short. And we know
I
how those dudes in Texas rock.
I told you, like living in Cali got me kind of like off radio because the way, and when I mean off radio, I mean like everywhere else I've been since then. Like Cali supports their artists
Yeah.
in a way that like I just haven't seen in any other place, and it's just like I don't respect the other people that don't get it the same way Cali
That
do.
Cali is kind of like you out there, and again, Texas does this too. It's
No,
like you're
you're right.
shut
It
off
is
to the
like
rest of
that.
the world. It's
Yeah.
about their music and what they got going on.
Yeah.
Fuck
Like
what anybody else got going on.
you can break through on the TV,
Yeah,
but you gotta have a smash to make it like, yeah, because
you
they
got to
will play 40.
collaborate with them to break in there. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, they will play 40 and Short and Dr. Dre and Easy and
Right.
Game and Nip and Pac. Like they'll do it all day.
Yeah, yeah, because they can.
Because they can.
They can. And Master P got a big part of his hustle from Cali too. I mean, we
Yeah,
missed
from
to
the
say that.
Bay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
He'll tell you, he got his hustle from watching what they were doing in the Bay. They was cool with being like independent with it. Them dudes was getting, they wasn't even hood rich. They was getting rich, man.
And speaking of JayZ, man, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was paying attention to what was going on in Texas. He's always been very vocal about the fact that he's a UGK fan. I just think that when you got markets like Cali and Texas Memphis does this in a sense as far as like their sound, but they really hadn't really mastered the business like those other guys have. But it creates a Nipsey Hussle.
I think Gotti's kind of changing some of
Oh
that
yeah,
actually, Mike. Like, so I mean, I mean, like through familiar relationships and also like through old family ties. I have family that's from Tennessee, but I got people up in Memphis right now, like that my fam is close to. And it was funny because when I was up in Nashville with my bro, we was with them, and somebody made a comment about Gotti, and the Memphis people was like slow your roll,
yeah.
like watch your tone.
I mean, Memphis is very, very influential in this music thing, man. I think I've told you or some friends of mine, man, I want to do a Memphis documentary when it comes to like Memphis hip hop.
Because it's
Cause
so interesting, it's so fascinating where they're pulling their inspiration from. Because like they're pulling it from so many musical places, but then you like go to Memphis. Like Mike, I have cousins that used to live in Orange Mound, like the
it's like
Mound.
they make music for the
Different.
town. They had no intentions of everybody else hearing it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's different with Memphis and Atlanta, where it's like Atlanta was like we had our local scene, but a lot of people were making music to get on. Where it was like with Memphis, it was
Not
like I'm gonna make
it
this
ain't
tape, I'm gonna
no
make another
Mike.
tape.
It ain't a lot. 90% of the people down here are making music to get on.
Yeah, I mean it's always been like that. You know what I'm saying? Even
Oh,
before there was a
even early, like no.
yeah.
TLC, Outkast, all of them, they were doing it to get on.
Yeah,
Like
they were
that's
doing
just
it to get on, you know what I'm saying? And
that's
it,
the way the machine runs down here. That's the way the machine runs down.
but yeah, so I mean, when you look at, you know what I'm saying, Nipsey and what he did even before the deal, what are we talking about? We talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 projects before Victory Lap. See, that's when you
Independently.
just, that's when you're just supplying your market, man.
But that's independently. So I
Yeah.
mean, look, I mean that financially, yielded him the things that enabled him to pretty much, own a shopping plaza at the age of 30.
Well, the thing is, when you're constantly, able to sell to your
Great.
market independently, that, at that rate, then yes, you do have a community now. And you do start to, build other businesses. You've sold this community, music, art, whatever. Now it's time to
Okay.
expand even more. And this
Yeah,
is before a deal.
yeah.
It makes me think though. Do you feel like some artists in hip hop are just working this whole thing backwards? Because you would think that what Nipsey did was the way that all artists or most artists should do it if you're trying to build a brand. Because at this point, you've developed a loyal following, a loyal audience, and a brand. And now whoever's coming in on top of that is just coming in to possibly enhance that a little bit. And you can call the shots at that point. Because you can say yes or no, because you're doing well either way.
Mike, what I'm about to say, it really doesn't apply to music, but a lot of that is truly about who made you and who raised you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you know what I mean. Like I'll tell you something happened earlier today. Is that I was on the phone with my father earlier this morning, and I realized I mean I'm just gonna be frank with it. Like I realized where I get my know-it-all behavior from, like the way I talk, because he was talking to me. And I was like, "Oh, dude, know everything." I'm like, "Hold up, I know somebody to be acting that way." Oh, hold on.
Well, we do get those things from, what we see around us, and some things are genetic. But you're right. It
Yeah,
does have a lot to do with who made you and who raised you. And it
right.
also has something to do with, your circumstances too. Like, desperate people do desperate shit, right? If you find, and that's why I've always had an issue with the
Like Mike,
industry wanting people to
hold
be
on.
super hungry. Because at that point, you're preying on desperation. How
Hey,
bad do you want it type of mentality?
hey, Mike. Sometimes who raised you is the streets.
Yeah.
Is to go and speak to that. You know what I'm saying? Something like what I mean. You got somebody like think about how X was when he came out. His business wasn't like all the way there, but it got there relatively quick. But his hunger was unmatched.
Talk about DMX?
Yeah,
We don't know
X.
what DMX's deals looked like. And,
No, no, no. He'll tell you that's part of the reason why he was doing movies is because like he
Yeah.
remembers like he sold like 700,000 records and he got a $75,000 check. So that's how that went.
I mean, just watching that
Like,
Rough
he said
Riders
his first check.
documentary.
Yeah, he said his first check was like 75 grand, and at the time, like It's Dark and Hell is Hot had already moved like 700,000 units. But after the cycle, so to speak. Yeah,
I mean,
he was in Romeo Must Die real quick, Mike.
yeah. I mean, you know what? He wasn't that bad of an actor too. I think he could have continuously gotten better.
Yeah, he
But
had opportunities.
But I think once you're looped into that, I don't think he was driven by acting either. And again, that goes into what you were just saying. It's like once you're put in a situation where it's like now you got to do some things that you didn't want to do, your fan base sees that. Nipsey clearly was doing what he wanted to do. And he was financially stable enough to, do that. And he already had the mindset that he knew what he wanted to do. And he had the backing of his fan base that it would work.
Right.
And if whoever didn't think that it was going to work, didn't think it was going to work, fuck them. I'm still doing me.
So, a lot of what I felt about Victory Lap was that like, I'm like, he's filling a gap that I see kind of transitioning because like I don't know what Q's gonna do next because like Crash Talk was definitely had more of an Atlanta feel to it and more of a modernized feel and an updated formula feel. Game has been around for a long time now. I don't know if people realize that. So like, Victory Lap was kind of about to have a little next too, I feel like.
I think so too. And you know what was cool about him is the fact that he was very, very West Coast with it, like you said.
That's why I bought a few in Game and I didn't bring up Kendrick because he was like West with it. Yeah.
I wouldn't even. Would you really describe Kendrick's style as West Coast? Because I know we've kind of discussed this in other shows, and I think he has some ties to Illinois, right?
Right. I told you one of the most important things that you can hear and learn about Kendrick early on is on the song Real on Good Kid, Mad City, where his mom or whoever is supposed to be his mom is talking and she was like, make something we can step to. We from Chi-Town, we like to step. And so immediately when I heard that, I'm like, oh, well, that explains that rapid pace multi-syllable delivery rhyme pattern right there, because that's not really normally a West Coast thing. Like 40's really the only guy who does it. He does it in more of an off-kilter way.
Yeah, he does it in a real unorthodox way. Yeah, it's not like it continuously
he's almost
flows.
Like Southpaw with it, I guess would be a way of describing his way of doing it. And Kendrick's is more the traditional like Chicago way that you hear from like a Young Common, Crucial Conflict, The Brat, Twista, you know what I'm saying? So it's like right in that alley in terms of that rhyme pattern and scheme. So like that's what I'm saying. Who made you? Who raised you? That's what I'm saying. Like his folks are from Chicago, even though he's from Compton.
I don't. You know what? Sonically, I just don't hear a lot of West Coast in Kendrick. Not saying he clearly represents that with the message and it was just his storyline and all of that. But there's a few records that I hear from Kendrick like, yeah, that's that West Coast sound. And one of them is on To Pimp a Butterfly. It was is it the one with Snoop? Or am I thinking about, hold on. Because I was just listening to Pimp a Butterfly the other day. It was in the beginning. And I was listening to it like, yo, this is some real West Coast shit. But for the most part, I don't really feel like you said, I think production-wise, Schoolboy Q shit's more kind of Southern, right?
The last album.
The last album. Okay. Yeah. Institutionalized is what I was thinking about. And Wesley's Theory.
I was thinking Wesley's Theory.
Yeah, Wesley's Theory and Institutionalized are the two Kendrick songs where I'm like, okay, that kind of got that West Coast feel to it. But for the most part, I don't really hear that in his stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. This is what I mean. Like part of what, and we need to get back to Nip, but part of what makes Kendrick so entertaining is the fact that it's like, well, people in the Midwest probably like him because of his rhyme pattern and style. The West Coast loves him because he's homegrown and he does have West Coast rhetoric and vernacular to like, you know what I'm saying, to his dialogue and to his songs, but he has an East Coast level of lyricism, but he can bounce on a down South track by Mike Will Made It. So he's super versatile.
Do you watch that show, All American?
I watch TV rarely these days.
Okay, well, All American's set in Compton, right? and it's about a high school football player. Not to get too deep into it, and he's from Compton, ends up going to a prep school or whatnot, just to update his profile to the point where he can go to a good college. But anyway, all the hood shit that they show on that show, they're playing all sorts of Nipsey records. You know what I'm saying? Because his shit sounds like the West Coast. What that, and I give it to YG too. YG has that sound too. But yeah, those records really match that scene. And that's one thing I will say about Nipsey. Like, in this climate where I think the internet has kind of blurred those lines, where we don't know where anybody's from. You don't know that Tyler's from Cali. You don't know Isaiah Rashad's from Chattanooga. And there aren't really many local sounds anymore. Nipsey really put that sound on and kept that flag going for that West Coast sound.
No,
and that West Coast hustle on top of that.
No, I totally agree. I think he embodied the hustle and the lifestyle and the music. He was a lot of things,
Right.
He really was, and it's super unfortunate, like when you look at it, I mean, Mike, think about it. He was born in 1985, man, was only 33 years old. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have turned 34 this past week.
Yeah.
Really unfortunate because he was getting.
Okay, so he would have been 34. Okay, you said 34. I thought he would have been 33. Okay, so this about to be 34. Okay.
Yeah, this would have been 34 this year. He was getting into tech. You could tell when he spoke. He was on the next shit. Like, okay.
How about this? Like, I would have all like at the time when he was doing like when he was coming up, I would have preferred to hear maybe Q's music, but I always preferred to hear Nipsey talk about what he had going on.
I think that really though, how do we say this?
He talked different. You know what I'm saying?
We were just talking about KD too, right? And I think that rappers should come in the game thinking, what's next, man? You know what I'm saying? And understanding that, yes, you can continue to do music, but you got to have other stuff going on too. And like I said, we just heard KD too and heard Nas from that perspective. And we also heard, certain publications try to tear down that perspective. I think hip-hop artists need to understand that just because you become successful in something else doesn't mean that your music is done. You know what I mean? And I think that Nipsey really embodied that with the way he approached Victory Lap. And he was going to keep doing music, but he was also going to keep going deeper into tech. He was also going to keep going deeper into buying properties and businesses and creating jobs. And I think that really is the blueprint. I mean, a lot of people see music as a way where it's like, yo, I want to be big. I want to be a star. So they don't want to put in 11 mixtapes before they put out their first major label album.
But also too, Mike, if you're looking at around the time when he's coming around, like his first mixtape, 2005, you said, right? So the game is different for somebody coming in at 2005 than it is at 1995 in terms of financially what you're going to be able to accrue. Yeah. Yeah. And so he's more forward thinking of being in the mind state of somebody that watched that shift as a child and as a teenager kind of happen. Does that make sense?
No, I feel you. No, the 90s, that's a whole different story. I'm talking right now, where
but what I'm saying is that's where he's ahead of the curve. Because if you look, like what he's seen in 2005 was kind of like like some dudes look at it. I can remember Nas telling a story about him and Big talking before their albums came out about how they didn't want to be messed up in the pocket like the people they used to look up to, the generation before them. And Nip probably thought a lot of the same ways, probably looking back like, man, them dudes really didn't eat like they should have.
No, that's real. And you see that. You out here doing shows with these guys. You're doing studio sessions with these guys. They telling you the situations they were in.
Everybody ain't in Snoop's position where you really can just be like, I'm Snoop, I want to go tour, and you can go make a few $1 million like right now.
Listen, man, how we talk about the 1% in, just in life or in the nation economically, Snoop represents the 1% in the music industry.
Right,
Like,
right.
no,
Like
no,
everybody
not a
can't
lot of
get up and be
people.
like,
If
I'm about to go out and do something and go make millions of dollars off of it. No, I
no,
don't work that way.
it don't work
No.
that way. The Terminator says,
That way.
"Yo, great review on the Nas album, guys. Eminem verse was absolute garbage." Guys, what do y'all think of Common? He said the homie on the right, Coop, said EPMD verse was whack. That was foul.
I didn't
Well,
say it was whack. I said if we're actually weighing all things like being considered, it's technically the weakest verse. Like if we're being technical.
I mean, appreciate the love too, man. All right,
You
well,
want to know what, Mike? I'll say this too. The track has grown on me some. It's not. It's. I mean, I never thought it was a bad record, but it's still a pretty good record. And I'm still in the middle on that verse. The verse is not garbage. It's not
the verse
trash.
is garbage.
It's not. It's not the rhyme of the year either. Like everybody on both sides, all y'all tripping. Like, come meet me in the middle. Let's have a little peace.
I can't think of anything redeeming from the verse. Like I said, I think that content wise, a 48-year-old Eminem on a Nas album that's this mature, talking about he's Big Daddy Kane because he has the lean on him or something. Or no, he said Big Daddy because I got the cane and lean on me. Stop it, man. It's whack. It is what it is. The Santa Claus and reindeer references, it's whack. And the rapid fire spitting, it's whack. It's cool though. He might be able to come with something.
It's amazing. It's amazing the energy that is invested in the time that's invested. Wow.
I can't sit here and look. You know what?
MC. Like Mike, I want you to understand. Like, how about this? Whoever, all you guys that feel this way about him, I want you to understand that whoever your favorite MC is doesn't feel that way, and that says a lot.
Listen, man, I don't care what they feel. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with me. This ain't, you know what? This ain't basketball, right? Where it's like we can go out on the court and see, you know what I'm saying, a person go one-on-one with that person. These people talk all this shit like M ain't whack, but they ain't playing his shit. They're not collaborating with him, and it is what it is. The proof's in the pudding. Regardless of what Rakim could say Eminem is God. That doesn't affect my ears. So
you would never do that. But I'm
just saying, hypothetically. And for the people who are just now tuning in with us, Rakim is my favorite. Well, I think Rakim is the greatest MC ever. Right?
No, there's nothing wrong with saying that.
So, but even with that being said, if he gives his opinion on Eminem in a very favorable light, it doesn't change my opinion. So,
I'm glad we cleared that up, Mike.
It doesn't.
I'm so glad we got that clear because you haven't made it. Hey, will y'all stop coming in the post?
Let's talk about Nipsey, man. But yeah,
do it for me at this point.
I was watching. I was watching Elliott Wilson, and I was rewatching that Nipsey Hussle interview that he did right before Victory Lap came out, when they got in the Maybach and he was kind of just cruising around playing some of the songs for him. Like, you could tell when an artist is trying to plug their new album, but Nipsey was genuinely excited about this record. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of like, how like when your homeboy makes a project or a mixtape or whatever, and they get in the car and they want you to hear the whole song, like you trying to skip through, like no, don't skip that, because Elliott Wilson was trying to get to the Kendrick feature. He was trying to get to the Kendrick feature. It's like, nah, man, you skipping songs, man. We got to go back. And you felt that, man. And that's the sad part, you know what I'm saying, to me. Like, as an artist, I mean, the whole thing is sad. But the fact that he was really just hitting stride and making something that he was probably the most proud about, period. And he was going to keep going because, we know how hustlers create. He'll just continue to create. But
is it not his best piece of work?
What's that?
Isn't it his best piece of work?
I think it is. I think it is.
I thought Victory Lap was his best piece of work. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. When you said 13 projects, I was like, oh, I haven't heard everything.
Me either.
Not when you said 13. I was like, hold on. No, I was thinking more like 8 or 9. So I've missed some stuff. That'll be fun to dig.
Yeah, yeah. I think I was listening to Abstract Radio after he passed, and they were digging. They were playing stuff from all the projects.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be fun to dig. I love doing stuff like that when I find out that I missed something. But I still probably think, even when I go through it, I'm pretty certain Victor. I'd be surprised if Victory Lap doesn't hold as his greatest project. Now, I would love to hear somebody comment if that's not his best project. I would love to hear.
What do y'all think is Nipsey's best project in the chat? I guess to before we go out, because I know this is a short, we're not doing a full episode. Is Nipsey the modern day model of what we look at when we talk about a Master P or a Jay? Because this generation doesn't seem to have as many of those.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying about his forward thinking. If you're looking at him releasing his first mixtape in 2005. And so what I'm saying is Mike, so he releases a mixtape in 2005. Mm-hmm. And then he releases the Bullets Don't Got No Name series, right?
Right. That was 2008. Yep.
Those 3 years in between was probably about the hustle, the grind, the understanding the business, getting motivated, seeing what he needed to do, how he needed to do it. You feel what I'm saying? There probably was some personal things going on. You know, life happens too. There's a 3-year gap between that first mixtape he does in 2005 and when he really starts running. And I mean, he just pretty much started running his way, and he didn't stop running his way until, you know.
I'm going to go back and listen, but I feel like Slauson Boy might have been kind of like him as, you know, a real youth, and he went back, like you said, and regrouped and turned into the Nipsey that we know today with, you know, Bullets Got No Name, Volume 1. Yeah.
But from the moment that dropped, and I mean, see, and I told you, Mike, I thought it was 2009, but it was 2008. You know, he just kind of kept on handling his business. The projects were always quality. I know he never dropped anything that came across me where I was like, oh, that's some trash. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because he was making what he wanted to make.
And it was, as an artist, he was pretty brilliant. As a businessman, he's very forward thinking. He gave back to his community. I mean, like,
yeah,
you know, like so this becomes the conundrum too. We have a society that, you know, like villainizes us as black men, you know, because of our posture, cool pose, environmental situations that we come from, behaviors that come from it. And, you know, we don't spend enough time talking about the change when men that come from that environment make the change, do something good and proper for their community. You know what I'm saying? This was a father, you know, a husband-like figure, you know, to his companion. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know.
It's a horrible loss, man.
Yeah, it's sad.
You know, speaking about elevation, and we talking about from Slauson Boy to Bullets Got No Name, I like when artists do that little, you know, where they change up everything. And a few times we've seen this in hip-hop. The Terminator asked me what I thought about Common. I think Common's one of those few people that did that. Like, when you talk about from Can I Borrow a Dollar to Resurrection. You talk about T.I. from I'm Serious to trap music. I mean, those are rare times that those things happen. I think for Wayne, it took like, 3 projects? Damn, yeah, because it was The Block is Hot, then he put out, and it was Lights Out, right? And then it was 500 Degrees. You could kind of start hearing the change a little bit at 500 Degrees, and then it was the Carter series.
See, that's how I feel. I feel like The Block is Hot and Lights Out. That's what I like to call bling bling and Back That Ass Up, Lil Wayne. Like, that's the dude singing the hooks on the big records.
I call him Wobbledy Wayne. Pause.
Okay. But you get the vibe. 500 Degrees was kind of like the shift.
Yeah. He was still very Cash Money, but the flow was changing. It was that, all your niggas, if you with me where you at. Hey.
You could see he was trying some things.
He was.
And the Carter is just like, you know, I don't know. He's you know what? He's really like, isn't he like the first Southern MC to take a flow of somebody like from the East Coast and like kind of like make it work? Like for him?
Kind of is, man. You know, we would be remiss to ask, Do you think there's questionable pen stuff going on with Wayne and his legacy?
I mean, according to Gilly, and I've already told you how I feel like Drake wrote a lot of it. At least I feel like Drake just did hook work on the Carter 3 because it just sounds more like Drake to me. So I don't know if that doesn't take away from his greatness, like per se. But I mean, like the Gilly thing, because the Carter is such a big turning point for him in terms of who he became and how he's revered now. That's the start of that. So if the start of that is tainted, it's very problematic. That's what I
Well, the
will say.
thing is, for me, I think that how drastic that change is from the wobbly wobbly Wayne to the Carter's Wayne, and then you look at how he sounds now, the drop off. And that's what makes me feel like there might have been some questionable pen stuff there.
So how about this? So when you say that, what I'll say to you is that I've never heard Gilly attached in any sort of way to the Carter 2. And as much as people really enjoy the Carter 1, and I do as well, I really think that that's just Manny's last really dope ass production job.
Yeah.
As a producer. And Wayne is coming out, but the MC that you see on the Carter 2, like that's Wayne to me, and that guy is better than the guy on the Carter 1. So that's what I mean. It's kind of about like how you look at it. Because for me, the MC that I see Wayne as isn't the MC on the Carter 1. It's the MC that I heard on the Carter 2. The dude that's spitting on Greatest Rapper Alive, Oh No,
Yeah.
that the mob intro, like that dude. I'm like, no, that ain't the dude from the Carter 1 either.
No, you're right. Rodriguez said, hey, what up, Rodriguez? I am Pasquale Rodriguez. He said Dipset influenced him. I see that too. Dipset didn't just influence him. I think that his work with Santana really gave him a lot of credibility in markets that weren't going to listen to him like that.
No.
The Terminator says J-Bit from Gilly. Well, JayZ and his relationship with Philadelphia, period, is very storied, and there's been a lot of, how do I say it? Some would call it stealing of rhymes.
Son, is that what you said? Oh, it's time to go. It's time to go.
All right, hold on. I want to reference this. I want to reference this.
I don't want to do it. No. I don't want to do it because KD2 just dropped a few weeks ago.
I just want to reference what I'm saying.
I have no reason to dig in at this point. Like,
I just want to reference what I'm saying because it was
shit like that.
It was Oskino's podcast where he was getting interviewed by Beanie Siegel. I'm sorry, excuse me. He was interviewing Beanie Siegel. And they were talking about their Rockefeller days, and they were talking about the fact that Jay would come, that when they came to the studio, Jay would need 16 bars from them every single day.
No. It said 10-pack of rhymes.
10-pack of rhymes. What does that mean for the people out there?
I take a 10-pack of rhymes like you need 10-16, so that's 160 bars you need.
Golly. And, so we all know Jay has this incredible memory and this super lyrical brain where he doesn't even have to write his stuff down. So it would seem, and I think Oskino was insinuating that they would spit their rhymes and Jay would approve or disapprove, and they would come back a week or so later and hear their shit on a record with Jay's voice. But I will say that state property energy, what period for Jay was that, you think? You think that was Blueprint 2 Black Album-ish?
No, Mike, that was pretty much, you hear Freeway on the Dynasty album, so I'm thinking like from the Dynasty actually up until I feel like it's the Dynasty to the Blueprint with that, and that they're not around on the Blueprint 2 really, even though they're around.
I don't feel like he was taking their flow too much on the Dynasty and the Blueprint 1. I was born to do this, born to make bomb music, flow tight like I was born Jew. Like, I don't hear that on there. But on the Blueprint 2, he sounds like Young Chris a lot.
I was about to say, there's some Young Chris comments that have been made over the years.
Yeah. I mean, you hear it, man. Like, you hear it. I think the Black Album, too,
Yeah, I felt like
Arguably
Change
for
Clothes and
me,
Go. Don't you feel like Change Clothes and Go belonged to somebody else and he took it? Like, I don't know. Like the flow.
best believe I sweat out weaves, give afro puffs like RAGE. All you can rebuke the movement, backing on up like a U-Haul truck. That sounds like the can't stop, won't stop, rock. That sounds like Chris and the Neef, man.
That's what I'm
It
trying to
does,
say.
man.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to
I
say.
don't know. All right,
Y'all
well,
boys acting way too tough. Go throw on a suit, get it taped. That's Chris.
yeah, Pascal Rodriguez says Jay bit from Chris from Young Guns. Yeah. Well, you know what? Chris has never complained about it. We've never heard young Chris say anything.
Certain dudes are just built a certain type of way, and so
Well, before we go, I would like to correlate young Chris to what's his name? Oh my God, the top of my tongue. From Shalimar, who taught Michael Jackson the moonwalk.
Yo, the barge ass niggas.
No.
Is that the barge ass niggas?
What? Jeffrey.
Wait, did you just go like 1982 Shalimar on us?
Yeah. The Jeffries guy. Y'all can look it up, Google or whatever. Well, Michael kept him around. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it wasn't even one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna take the moonwalk from you and keep it moving. He kept him around. He was always on tour with him. He would basically he would go out there and learn the street dances that Michael Jackson couldn't go out there and learn because he's Michael fucking Jackson. He can't get out on the street and dance with kids. People would go crazy. So he would bring the streets back to Michael and teach him shit. So, I kind of correlate young Chris to that for Jay in a sense. And he kept him around, and Jeffrey speaks nothing but great things of Michael Jackson. And I think that Chris would do the same thing. Chris has never said, Jay took my flow, Jay took this, Jay took that.
See, I feel like that's part of the reason why Prince started switching bands too. You know what I'm saying? Like, he realized he had got to a point where it's like, oh, I can't just roll up in here anymore and roll to the front and see what's going on anymore. It's like, no, motherfucker, you made Purple Rain. It's like, no, like,
you
that
know
shit's
what?
over.
Lisa and Wendy added a lot to Purple Rain. I mean,
Mike, yeah. I'll be honest with you. Part of the reason why I revere Sign of the Times so much is because they're not involved. Because all his great stuff prior to that, it's like I feel like Wendy and Lisa are involved to a degree the same way I feel like Quincy involved on Mike's stuff. It's like, well, you did it, but you didn't do it alone.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
You didn't do it alone. Wendy and Lisa were dope, Mike. Like he had the Revolution is dope, Mike. Like, if you go look. Controversy, 1999, Purple Rain, like, those are 3 classic albums, Mike. Like, that's Prince and the Revolution.
No doubt. Well, let's get up out of here. I guess Friday, man, we're gonna be talking about this West Side Gun double album. We're gonna be talking about Eve the Genius, right?
Love the Genius.
Love the Genius. Why do I want to say Eve? Right? I'm sitting here reading her
because it still looks like Eve just to the casual eye. It's almost like she's forcing you to do something deeper psychological. You know what it is? It's like a block paper reading her name. That's what I thought about. She cold with it.
So we got Love the Genius.
What do you see? I see Eve the Genius. I see Love the Genius.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, old girl had to tell us it was Love the Genius. We both thought it was Eve.
Right. So yeah, we got Love the Genius coming up on Friday, and we got a double album from West Side Gun. I'm really expecting some greatness from this double album from West Side, man. He hadn't dropped all year. He dropped 3 times last year.
Yep.
And dropped 3 quality projects last year. So for him to hold off all the way into August, I'm expecting some real quality. I'm expecting a dope-ass Griselda record with him, Conway, and Benny. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, Coop. The level is high here. Like, I'm expecting a really good album. I hope I don't get disappointed. It is what it is, but
you're expecting an album of the year contender. And when I always say
by
album
far
of the year contender, I say, like, unless it's like 1996, it's like a top 5 album is the album of the year contender.
I'm expecting an album that will be in our top 3 albums of the year. I'm expecting production-wise the best production job of the year. I mean, yeah, it's West Side. The 3 songs that we've heard this year so far, TV Boy, Stain, and what is it? What is it? Jane. Yeah, the production is crazy.
The production is crazy, but I'm gonna submit something to you. Those three songs aren't better than the stuff that's on King's Disease 2 or on Bo Jackson. And some of the stuff on Tyler's project and Isaiah's project is better than that. And that's why I asked that question.
Well, see, the other thing is too, the albums that I hold high this year, I really got into off of West Side's cosign, and that's Bo Jackson, and that's Pray for Haiti. So,
Touche.
so I'm expecting a great album. I mean, a very, very
great
good
album. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. And the only reason that I'm really asking questions, and this is just me traditionally speaking, like I'm just never enthralled when I hear an artist that I love dropping a double album.
I don't like double albums either. I will give you that.
Mike,
I don't like double albums.
We usually end up going back, with the exception of, I think, Life After Death, and depending on, most people love All Eyes on Me Book 2 more than I do. But you still could have just made it All Eyes on Me and took the 5 best tracks from All Eyes on Me Book 2, and it would have been like an 18-track player, would have been just fine.
I think just about every double album in hip hop, especially because other genres really don't do it as often. I think just about every double album in hip hop, we all say the same thing. This could have been one disc. If this was one disc, it would have been crazy.
Except Life After Death.
Except for Life After Death.
We don't have discussions about that. It's like, no, that's a 2-disc player. We're cool with that. Run that.
There's only like 2 songs I don't like on Life After Death.
3 for me.
Yeah.
I still don't like Player Hater just because.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even count that. Yeah.
No, it counts. Numbers on the board, this shit counts.
Yeah. But see, you don't like Nasty Boy.
Yeah, there you go. That's number 2.
I didn't like the song with Kim.
I didn't like Missing You. Like, I just,
that's funny you say that. I was going to say that too, but I was ashamed to say that because so many people love that song.
No, damn that. I didn't want to hear that happy shit.
People love that song. I don't like that song like that either.
It was super happy.
Yeah. When it goes for Notorious Thugs, I'm skipping.
I was like, oh, that's really, really cute that he made that record. Put the 10 Crack Commandments back on.
Because, for what Biggie was going for, that wasn't a real record to him and how he was carrying himself.
He could have left it off and it would have enhanced the project, in my opinion.
Of
he could have
course.
And
that was a record that Tupac would make. You know what I'm saying? That would be real to him.
Right. No.
All right, man. Let's get up out of here, man. I know we kind of gone over our time, but yes, Friday, 8:00, 7:30. Yeah, 7:30, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. We will let you guys know. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about West Side Gun's double album. We're gonna be talking about Love the Genius.
Yep.
And I think there's something else that might be dropping that we're missing. We'll talk about all the other stuff that we missed too. Fat Joe comes to mind.
You know what I'm excited with on the Love the Genius album is that first song says it's the feature with Armani Caesar. I was wondering how they were gonna. I was trying to think of a time where really 2 female MCs existed within the same like kind of camps, so to speak. Even though I know like Armani's more a West Side's artist and Love is more a Conway's artist through drum work, I guess is how that works. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that the album is starting off with them together, I was thinking I haven't been this excited probably about a pairing since like we heard Lauren and Digga.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one
that's
of my
what
favorites.
I want to hear. I love like I want to hear that go down.
No, most definitely. All right, well, I'm looking forward to it. And all of y'all in the chat, anybody that's looking at the rebroadcast or whatever, make sure that you join us here on YouTube at 7:30 on Friday. We're going to chop it up. I want y'all to be a part of the discussion because if this is a really, really good effort, I don't want us to be out here tripping saying it's the best album ever made and it ain't. You know what I mean? So make sure y'all go to According to Hip Hop's channel on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell icon so y'all know when we go live, and we're going to holler at y'all then.